Now in today's market analysis, we'll be running over a few things very quickly. But before we get started, I would just like to state that as always, all content posted on this channel is for educational purposes only. Now the first pair I'd like to have a look at is New Zealand dollar CAD on the weekly chart. Now if you have watched my previous video, you'll remember how I talked about how I did enter in on this position, but I did get stopped out at break even as I moved my stop loss to my entry point a bit too soon. Now we did pull back up roughly around to my entry point, and I did re-enter in this position roughly for around a 1 to 1.8 risk to reward ratio, and we did hit take profit. Now if you look roughly around here, we have our support level formed roughly around the 0.8334 level. Above we have a resistance level formed roughly around the 0.237 level, 0.9237 level, and another resistance level above roughly around the 0.9572 level. So if you look roughly around towards the end of 2016, roughly around November is where we started our descending trend, where we bounced off our descending trend line 1, 2, 3, 4 times. On the fourth time is where I entered. Now here we bounced off this support level roughly around here and pushed back up to our trend line, which also happened to line up with our reversal zone right around here, our resistance level or resistance zone. I entered in roughly around 0.937 and had my take profit roughly around 0.9111 and my stop loss roughly around 0.9305. Now as I did say, this trade was for roughly around the 1 to 1.8 risk to reward ratio, and we did hit take profit on this position. Now the next pair I'd like to look at is USD JPY on the 4-hour chart. Now this is a trade that I did place last week roughly for around the 1 to 1.8 risk to reward ratio, but I did close out this position early as the markets were coming to a close on Friday evening, as I'm sure you all know. I'm not exactly disappointed. I did get just about 1% in, and in total I pushed myself up nearly 4%, or pretty much 4% for the week. So I was happy with that. Now, in terms of fundamentals, if you guys were monitoring the economic calendar, I'm sure you know that around on Friday we had a lot of positive data released from the calendar for the yen. Now, if we look roughly around November, we can clearly see that's where we started our descending trend, where we made 2 cycles and we bounced off our descending trend line 1, 2, 3 times. On the third time is where I entered and I went short at 113.62, with my take profit at 113.30 and my stop loss at 113.95. I was planning to short it down roughly around to this this reversal or support zone, but as I said, I did close this position out early as the markets were coming to a close. Now in terms of news, the French budget deficit is predicted to break the European Union's limit of 3% GDP and stand roughly around 3.2% instead. Now Emmanuel Macron has also announced a wage increase for the poorest workers along with a tax cut for most pensioners. Before the announcement, the French deficit was expected to stand around 2.8%. UK ministers think that May's plan is dead. We now have less than 4 months until we are due to leave. The UK government has said no to a second vote. Now on Wednesday we have the year-on-year CPI for the Canadian dollar and the pound. We also have the Fed interest rate decision as well as the crude oil inventories. Along with that, we have the New Zealand dollar quarter-on-quarter third quarter GDP figure release, along with many other figure releases in the economic calendar. On Friday, we have the GBP year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter third quarter GDP figure release and the GBP interest rate decision. Apart from that, please like, subscribe and comment. Thank you for listening.